Hey, what's up guys, it's Fish here and welcome back my glorious Bannerman to another online battle on the American Civil War mod for Napoleon Total War. Today me and Apollo decided to go ahead and play the Battle of CULP'S Hill, which is the second day of Gettysburg. However, it's not the first battle of the second day. I'm pretty sure that this happened at like around 6 to 7 PM, like the fighting started, whereas the Battle of CULP'S Hill actually happened a couple hours before this on a different flank, I believe. I could be completely wrong in that matter, but that's just kind of what I gathered from reading a few sources. So yeah, I'm playing as the Union, Apollo is playing as the Confederates, and yeah, it's going to be a really interesting battle. So a little backstory before we start. If you want to skip all this and just jump straight to the battle, hopefully there'll be an annotation there for you guys to click on. But yeah, so like kind of this hill and this kind of area went ahead and gave the route to Washington and Baltimore, which were obviously extremely key places for the Union to kind of hold and prevent the Confederates from going. So if they lost this hill, they would go ahead and give up the road to Washington and also give up massive supply lines as well. So holding this line for the Union was so important, and they were heavily outnumbered on this battle. I think in this scenario, Apollo has about 5,200 men. And I have about 3,000 to like 100 men, so I'm outnumbered by a good 2,000 men. But hopefully my defenses can hold. You know, I've got these really cool trenches up here, so hopefully that'll be enough to go ahead and push back the extra 2,000 men the Confederate forces have in this scenario. So we'll quickly run over my army, and then we'll go ahead and just jump straight into the battle, because it kind of does kick off pretty quickly. You know, I've kind of got a pretty fairly long line up here. You know, I pretty much stretch the entire way along this hillside. However, I don't have men along this entire hillside. There's going to be several pockets of, you know, like openings where I kind of run out of men. A lot of my brigades are very depleted from the first day of fighting. You can see the Iron Brigade, if you remember in the first episode of the battle, you know, a lot of these Iron Brigade battalions were like at a good like 150, 200 men. And now they're depleted down to 77, which I really like that the mod creator's done that. You know, it kind of gives the illusion that, you know, these people have been fighting, you know, for already a day, you know. So these battalions are depleted, you know, they're not full strength. So I've kind of got men across this entire ridge. You know, there's a few gaps in my line, but overall it's not too bad. I also have in reinforcement coming in, you know, my reinforcement battalions coming in. I have about 12 brigades coming in that go ahead and aid me. Obviously a lot of them are very depleted. I've kind of got one good, the 71st Pennsylvanian 2nd Battalion is, you know, reinforced me. That's a good 131 men. But, you know, rest of these 75. Oh, we got the Brooklyn Militia as well. Some more Iron Brigade. You know, just a few more regiments reinforcing me. I also have a few cannon on that hill, but not. I think it's only 1 or 2. I also have some cannon over here, which will give me some really good crossfire across these fields. And then my defensive position along here, you know, it's pretty decent. I've got some stone walls along here this entire distance, which obviously going to give me some really nice cover. And then over here, I've only just got wooden fences, but it's still going to give me a much better cover than, you know, Pixelated Apollo's men as he's coming across the farmhouses. 75th, 25th, Ohio, lovely. But I've got a big, you know, 115 men over here, which is really nice. And this is all supported by, like, I think 3 or 4 cannons up here. And I also have the really cool thing as well, that all these generals actually are the generals, and they were around about where they were on the battlefield, which is just really cool. So you got Major General Howard over here, kind of commanding that, like, far left flank. Brig General Amiz, however the hell you pronounce that, sorry, I probably butchered that. And then up on the hill, who do we have defending? Geary? Brigadier General Geary? Probably like that. So cool, let's go ahead and jump into this battle straight away. We'll kind of look at Apollo's men as well. But like straight off, you can see like it's not lagging as well, which is so nice. No lag! Or maybe a little bit of lag, but still, because there's only around about 9,000 men in this battle, it's a lot less than the 20,000 we had on the first day. So it's going to kind of make the actual battling and the actual replay much better. So I hope you guys will enjoy this a lot more. But you know, it still doesn't mean that the last battle wasn't as fun. You know, it was just an epic scale, whereas this has still kind of got the feel of the epic scale. You know, look how big the maps are and how stretched the enemy infantry are. or the entire army is. Like if we look at the mini map, because I kind of want to make sure we look at the mini map a little bit more. You can kind of see we got like this fishhook formation. The artillery's already going off, trying to rack up some kills. You know, yeah, so I'm just going to get slowly pushed in, hopefully, or hopefully not. Hopefully I can hold him on this entire line. But, you know, Apollo's going to obviously use his majority of his infantry, his extra men just to go ahead and win the day. Oh my god, lovely. Look at my cannon fire, already just racking up, smashing through the enemy lines. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Oh, come on, just, yes, keep on hitting, boys. Keep the cannon fire shooting. So yeah, Apollo kind of has like a very stretched out line. He kind of has like a big portion of men over here. Oh my god, my cannon's actually racked up some really nice kills on this unit, already killing 4 men. We go and just get rid of a mini map quickly. Yeah, so as I was saying, like Apollo's actually got like a really stretched out line, but he can kind of afford to do that because he's got so many men, and the closer he kind of gets to enveloping me, the easier it will be. Oh, firing some lime shot now as well. The easier it will be just to kind of use his numbers as an advantage, because his line obviously stretches all the way along here. He also has some cannon back here and some more reinforcements coming up behind this initial line, and he also has like huge amounts of cannon forces over here, as well as, you know, look how much infantry is coming to attack this hill across this river. So much infantry, and each one of these battalions are extremely healthy. Look, 270 men, that one 280, 280 over there, 270, 420 in the Nicole Brigade. What the hell? 420 men! Just blaze it! It's crazy. You know, each one of these battalions are just really healthy. 300, 300, 300. Whereas my men up on this hill, you know, 200 in that one, which I granted is good, 190, you know, it's just not the same. I do actually bring some men down to kind of try and defend this forest a little bit, but I'm getting peppered. And the rifle fire has already started over here on this left flank. We've opened up firing. The 75th Ohio are shooting away at the Confederates as they come closer. So this is going to kind of give a really interesting battle, because it's going to give Apollo, because he has the numbers, it's going to give him the ability to go ahead and do his picket charges, to go ahead and, you know, actually charge down my lines, where he's going to win just because he has the sheer number of men. And obviously this is kind of bad for me, because he's kind of got a really nice crossfire over here, where he's got 2 units over here. It's like shooting in on this one unit, you know, and I've only got 60 men in this brigade. You know, only 60 men in this brigade. That's not going to stand up against his huge numbers he has. 107th Ohio over here as well. Just volleying away as best I can, and it just looks so epic. Like, just look at this smoke. Look how cool this smoke already looks. Apollo's men. The 7th Louisiana? Is that Louisiana? LA? Sorry, you guys must get sick of me just trying to think what state it is. These Confederate soldiers just peppering away up on the hill. Oh, that looks epic. That looks absolutely epic. Screenshot! That looks cool as hell. The smoke. I can't wait till we get over to the wood fighting, because the wood fighting kind of is a little bit delayed, because he's like kind of focusing over here, and he's a lot further away in the woods. Oh, you actually see that bullet like come towards us. That was really cool. So yeah, this kind of fight happens, and then the fight in the woods kind of accelerates in a second. So he's actually pushed over this wooden fence, trying to get a bit closer to my lines. But trust me, you'll get to see some really epic picket charges in this battle. So you can see his line over here is starting to get a bit closer. He's starting to rack up some kills, but now his reinforcements turn up. His initial charge kind of managed to go ahead and hold, you know, like hold me in place, start trying to whittle away at my morale. And now that his reinforcement brigades have turned up, he can really start putting the pressure on, because he just gives him so many more guns over here. You know, he probably has around about 1,000 men on this flank extra than me. So, you know, that's an extra 1,000 guns, 1,000 muskets he can bring to bear, which I can't even use. You know, I've also got a bunch of men over here which aren't really even fighting. You know, a few of these guys are volleying off, but not many of them. I also need to bring them back behind the wall. So a lot of these divisions aren't even doing much. I'm starting to bring over the rest of my reinforcement brigades. I brought over 3 of these guys coming into the battle to go ahead and resupply my front. But the charges are happening, I think. Yeah, he's charging. He's charging. What is? It's the 6th LA, and I decided to go ahead and just advance a little bit, advance some fire. Can we get a volley off, boys, before the end? Or are they just going to get an epic charge in? Oh, they're a few shots off, but not really. And he's just going to collide in, and that's just going to wreck me. You know, he got an epic charge off. It's killing so many of my men. Yeah, look at that. Getting these charges off is just so effective. And you can see he's already starting just to whittle down my men on the side. Yeah, the men on that left flank are starting to rout. And he's seizing this advantage. His reinforcements are here. So now he can really just start putting the pressure on with everything he has. Oh, that's a really nice cannon shot, though. It sent some men flying. You know, I need to get another charge off over here. I counter-charge this time, though. So it's not as bad because I counter-charge. But still, it's going to be brutal, just the amount of men he actually has. And there you go, I'm routing again. He's just using his sheer numbers just to go ahead and rack up so many kills. My cannons have switched to canister shot, but still, I've managed to fall back to this position with my canister shot. Just trying to rack up as many kills as physically possible. And if we actually go ahead and slow it down real quickly, because there's actually some fighting over here, which I don't want to miss, but there's also epic fighting everywhere else, you know. That's the thing with these crazy cool battles, is there's just so much going on, and I really don't want to miss it. Like, look how cool this looks in the woods. And there's actually an entire battle in the woods. I can't remember what the battle's called. It's a scenario in this mod where it's pretty much just 20,000 men in a massive wood. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments if you do know. And yeah, it just looks so epic because it's so eerie. The smoke kind of just lifting up like this, and there's just men over the hills and stuff. So Apollo's going to go ahead and try and cross the river now. He has enough men to actually do this. And I would have probably stopped him actually at this river, like with a lot more forces, but I just didn't have the men to spare. Basically, I just couldn't really afford to actually give up these men. You know, even these 2 men, I really shouldn't have stuck down here. But we wanted to make it look cool. We wanted to make it look cinematic. You know, if I was really try-harding, I would have kept like all these men up on this hill. You know, it's a really good defensive position. One of my reinforcement battalions are coming down. We've got a unit of Iron Brigade down here, coming into the fight with a few other units, some militia units and stuff. Like, I was just so slow getting over here that Apollo can almost cross the river.
Our men are running, sir.
And actually go ahead and just get, like, you know, a real nice charge off. If I would have had 3 or 4 units here, like if I would have had these units over here in time, then he would not have standed, like he would have just got wrecked trying to cross this river. But because I was kind of a bit delayed, I didn't want to run my men. I wanted to be nice and, you know, slow, nice and era appropriate, and just march my men into battle. God, I feel sorry for whatever, the 71st. Oh my god, look how cool that looks! Look how fucking cool that looks! Just coming over the smoke! Wow, that is so cool! That is really fucking cool. So they're gonna clash into me over here. That was epic, them just coming from the smoke. Oh, so cool. So they're gonna come over and just absolutely obliterate my unit. Like, you gotta think as well, because this battle is so freaking big. You know, a lot of times I'm looking over on this side and Apollo's looking over on the other side, and you know, we're doing like certain stuff which just, you know, isn't going to be matched by the other player because they're looking at the other side of the battlefield. So he could be telling his men to charge over the other side, and I can't counter charge because I'm too busy on this side trying to do some stuff. So I managed to go ahead and send back a decent amount of his line. You know, his initial charge kind of, you know, has been pushed back now. I'm starting to go ahead and retake control of the majority of this territory. I'm going to get another nice volley off. You know, I'm starting to actually reclaim a lot of this territory. He did definitely do a lot of damage, but I'm starting to reform along this wall, bring some more men over. And, you know, he does have a section of reinforcements coming in, which I do have to be very careful of. And he still has a very decent line, but the majority of it is kind of quelled for now. He also has 2 more brigades coming in there, which is a bit scary. So if we go back up on the hill, I'm actually bringing up a division as well from the cornfields to go ahead and help on the hill, marching it up very slowly.
Our men are running, sir.
So he is starting to come across this hill and be absolutely brutal. I decided to bring back I actually decided to move this division down to go ahead and help out. Oh my god, yeah, I'm starting to try and get these men out of here now. I'm like, this hill is pretty much lost now. because, you know, this unit had 309 men in, you know, compared to mine, which just had, like, this unit of Iron Brigade, obviously it's Iron Brigade, so it's really good, but it had 60 men. Like, that's just nothing. And the Iron Brigade actually managed to rout these 160 men. Yeah, go away, you scum. And just look at the dead bodies over here. It just looks so epic. Like, I just can't get over how much fun this battle was to play. And how much fun it would be to play as a 2v2. Because you think one person would be controlling this right side, and the other person, if you're both playing Union obviously, one person would be playing this right side on the hill, and the other person would be playing down on the left side. And it'd just be so cool, you know, like these battles are just so epic, and the mod creator's done an amazing job. So if you have friends and you want to play this mod, like, I definitely recommend doing it. So I managed to go ahead and route a decent portion of his line over here. But I definitely took some heavy casualties. You know, the Iron Brigade are pretty much down to 12 men now, but they're holding, you know. What an epic unit. 11 of them, 10 of them, and they're still just holding. He starting to push across here, you know, and I should have withdrew this unit, like 100%. Should have withdrew this unit back up on the hill, because he's using his numbers to start flanking round. But, you know, he's bringing 420 guns to bear on me. Look at them all. There's so many. So, you know, actually kind of in the flank as well, which is the worst. Same over here now. I should have just brought this unit back. But I wanted to put up a little bit of a resistance at the beginning of the fight. And also, if you notice, like, the balance of power has kind of been that much in his favour the entire way through this battle, just because of his sheer numbers. I think he's deciding to do some more picket charges over here. Yep, using his greater numbers just to go ahead and charge in the cornfields and routing my my Ohio artillery crew over there. Oh no, it's not even an artillery crew, they're just a horse brigade, I think. And then I'm counter-charging him as he tries to get away. And again, like, we're routing a bunch of his units, which is really, really nice, you know. These charges are not free of casualties. You know, they're definitely losing a lot of men. And the nice thing about this mod is when you lose men, like when you actually when your men rout, they just go from the battlefield, which is kind of nice. So it actually means there's kind of a bit of a consequence for these charges for Apollo, you know, because normally, like in Napoleon, what happens quite a lot is your men actually come back from routing, whereas in this it's not so much. Like, a few units do, especially if they're good units, you know, if they've actually got ranked, like this unit over there, which decided to rout, that'll probably come back. And same with my Iron Brigade as well. But, you know, the majority of the more just conscript men and stuff like that, they're not going to go ahead and come back from the battlefield, which is nice, because, you know, it means if Apollo does decide to charge and I counter charge or something along them lines, he's going to go ahead and, you know, just like pay the price because of it. So this left hand side is starting to fall. You know, I haven't really got much. I've kind of got 2 brigades which are pretty fresh, and my cannons on grape shot. But, you know, as soon as this secondary line comes up, I'm fairly screwed on this side, so I'll need to go ahead and probably just pull back to this ridge and try my best to hold it. I'm starting to change the canister shot now and just peppering these bigger units, but I'm not sure if it's going to be able to hold on that side. You know, I just need to try and route as much as I can before the reinforcement brigade's coming in. And Apollo is starting to push through now. He's managed to route. There is fighting in the trenches now. Straight up fighting. I obviously got this really nice defensive position on the hill. Just volleying away as much as I can. And you just see the Confederate devils down there. Is that my routing men coming back? I think that's my routing men running through the line of fire. But yeah, you can see Apollo is just using his huge numbers to stretch out my line and just bring the pain. But luckily, you know, these defensive positions, as long as I can kind of hold him here and also hold this right flank, I should be fine, because at the moment this right flank's really my only issue. And I also, you know, I'm fairly well defended over here. I've got some really nice people shooting, you know, really nice defensive position. Like, this is my weakest point in my line. There's no trench, there's no, like, fence, there's no wall. And Apollo, you know, after kind of me pushing him back over here, he managed to go ahead and... Oh no, I think I actually retreated over here. Or no, maybe this is just a reinforcement battalion, maybe. It's probably a reinforcement battalion. But because, you know, I managed to hold him off here for so long with the Iron Brigade. Like, the Iron Brigade saved me in this corner for so long. You know, now that he's kind of defeated everything over here, his greater amount of rifles kind of managed to rout the 92nd New York Brooklyn Militia, I think, were over here. And now, you know, he's just got, you know, 230 men. This unit's down to 81, so the Iron Brigade did a very good number on them. But now he can start pushing these lines up here and just start enveloping me on this hill, because now he has to do that. Now he's starting to attack my main line. He has to start using his numbers to his advantage. Bring up some more cannon as well, I think, over here. Yeah, bringing up his horse artillery. But I do have Gigabyte over there. Also starting to attack me on this flank as well with some reinforcements. I've got the Iron Brigade down here. Yeah, so like my line on this left flank to kind of hold out the assault after this falls, you know, it's very decent. I've got a bunch of Iron Brigade over here.
Our men are running, sir.
Maybe I should have brought some more Iron Brigade up here to kind of give me a better fight. Yeah, you can see over here, Apollo's going to go ahead and start using his numbers just to start enveloping me. Give them nothing, men, but take from them everything. Oh my god, is he going to charge me? Because you can see, this brigade's 84 men, whereas that one's 286. You know, my volleys can't do enough damage on this charge to kind of make his charge not worth it. He's coming. Yeah, 100% he's coming to attack. My lord, that is scary. I'm starting to break him, though. Oh my god, hold the line! Oh my god, that's so epic. Yeah, I decided to counter charge as well, because like, I realized very quickly on this mod that you need to counter charge, otherwise you're just going to take so much damage. And what the hell is this unit doing? The 149th New York. Oh my god. You're routing with 114 men and you didn't even get charged. Like, they charged a different unit. To be fair, they did take a bunch of casualties from the firefight, but still. And I think these guys will come back just because they're still pretty healthy. It is allowing me to go ahead and kind of get some nice flanking fire, though, with this battalion over here on the right-hand side. This division can really start opening up. You know, it might kill a few of my men, but the majority of my fire should be fine. And, you know, this is going half decent for me on this hill. My defensive position is holding. Apart from over there, obviously. The right flank is very weak. But everything else, you know, is doing a very good job. You know, these trenches are really helping me out. I'm losing a few men here and there, but so is he. You know, his bigger brigades are definitely starting to have numbers drop down. You know, at the end of the day, it's easier for me to hit his men. I still can't believe that this unit has so many men in. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely crazy. I also have some cannon up here, but it's not really doing much. I could have definitely have used this somewhere else more effectively. And by the looks of it, we have kind of missed it, but it is fine missing this battle over here. You know, not much, you know, like, it's kind of a bit self-explanatory what happened over here. He kind of just ends up using his numbers to overcharge me and really start putting the hurt down. Which is something, you know, what I could have done here, like 100% what I could have done here was realise that this was lost and bring back a few units. You know, this division was about 130 strong when he decided to charge me. So really what I could have done was just decide to bring back this, you know, a couple of these battalions which are over here. You know, a couple of these units. Oh, that guy just sliced in half. Nice. You know, I could actually have brought back a few of these divisions which were over here to go ahead and re-support me on the hill. But instead I kind of committed over here and was like, no, I'm going to hold this to the bitter end. Which maybe was a bit of my downfall on this side. Fighting in the woods as well. He's really starting to do the damage. So I managed to get a few of my cannons out of here, but the majority of these cannons actually did die. And now he can start sweeping around this entire, you know, it's not much over here, but it's still, you know, a decent amount of men. This is a good like 600-700 men he can start swooping around. You know, and I'm already starting to struggle over on this side, on this right side. You know, actually managed to hold these guys off. He's keeping on charging, trying to put so much pressure on this right flank now. Oh, lovely. You got the little captain over there fighting away with his sword. And I actually do manage to go ahead and withhold this charge. You know, I managed to push back the first, whatever brigade that is. I don't even have no idea, if I'm honest. You know, I managed to push back this one, but there's still so many more coming. You know, he's got 200 men there in that one, 77 in that one. You know, his numbers are just racking up kills. Oh my god. 220 guns just firing into the abyss. Just racking up kills. I've got a bit of a trench over here. You know, it's not as good as the ones down there, but it's going to be helping me out a little bit, I think. You know, giving me a bit of fire. Oh, it looks so cool just for men routing. This was a really epic battle. Like, I can't get over it. And especially because it wasn't lagging as well, it just kind of made the battle feel so much cooler. These guys are just firing and relocating. You know, they got a few fires, I think, up on this brigade over there. And now they're just going to go ahead and reform along this line. You can see that's over on the far left-hand side. You know, his line's actually in a really good defensive position. Just to go ahead and just shoot as much as possible. Yeah, they've actually got these walls so they can really rack up some kills. I think I have changed grape shot with my cannons, but obviously they're not going to be doing as much damage as I would like. I also have one brigade over here which managed to fall back. But again, they're just up against so many guns, it's just making it so hard to really do much damage. You know, this is the only part of my line which has really done very well, just because it's so hard for him to actually charge against this. Because they're in such a good defensive position. But if he is to charge against this line, I actually have a decent amount of, like, I pretty much have guns the entire way along this line. So if he is to charge at it right now, it's going to be very hard for him to actually do that. The Iron Brigade are going to have to start forming up now. I think I'm bringing up one of the Iron Brigade units just to go ahead and help out over here, because I'm like, crap, I'm starting to get a bit stretched on this right flank. So the Iron Brigade need to march. Obviously I'm not going to run them, because only cowards run. We're going to march, you know, a good Roman way over onto this flank and try our best to go and hold that. But yeah, the Iron Brigade down here are going to start being drawn into combat. Good volley, boys, good volley. Nice, good last shot, dude. Hopefully you killed someone. So I'm actually going to be peppering these guys as they run across the field. Definitely racking up some kills. But you know, there's only so many kills these muskets can rack up before the Confederates get into a charging distance. You know, I need to start overrunning my cannon positions now. There's just not really much I can do with these cannon positions. And I almost kind of leave the second Wisconsin Iron Brigade battalion to kind of its own like fate, because I kind of start falling back, because I'm like, crap, I need to go ahead and fall back and kind of open up a better firing position, because if he tries to charge this one, at least this Iron Brigade unit can start volleying it. I'm also going to do the same with this Iron Brigade unit. Bring out some more reinforcements over here to hopefully fill this little gap over there. Oh, look how cool this battle has turned out into. We'll quickly jump into the mini-map. Yeah, look how cool that is. I stretched all the way along here. I'm actually in red, by the way, and Apollo is in blue, so it's kind of like, again, the opposite. But yeah, you can kind of see where my lines just, you know, we're slowly getting enveloped the entire way across. And that's just so cool. It really is very epic. And you can see Apollo's line is so strong right now. So you can see it's starting to march now. It's starting to advance. It's under heavy fire. But because a lot of my cannon isn't on this hill as well, he can kind of get away with this and, you know, start getting these charges off. You know, start causing me a lot of issues. Just because he has so many men left. You can see the balance power is really not in my favour now. I'm slowly getting whittled away. Go and get rid of this mini-map as well. They're gonna be charging. Trying to take this hill, trying to take these mounds. I'm not sure if he actually does charge along here, or if he's just advancing. I think he's just literally running up his entire line. I have a bit of cannon firing. You know, oh, that looks really cool. A bit of cannon firing up on this hill. I think I removed it. But he's just going to keep on going. Just keep on charging up this hill. You can see over there, he's starting to form up. That's actually my line already. Damn! He's actually already close. He's charging. He's going in here. Damn! Volley, boys! Oh, a few of my men are pushed up.
Our men are running.
And he's just going to charge my entire line down here. Damn, this is brutal. Like, this is obviously what Apollo needed to do, because he has so many men there. Bring up some more men over here. He's actually managed to completely rout this right-hand flank. I've actually had to fall back with a unit of Illinois. I think you guys did tell me quite a few of the initials, what they stood for. Yeah, he's actually managed to push me back all the way here. Now he's just charging, using his huge numbers. Look how many of them are here. Just to completely overwhelm the few brigades I have up on this hill. Some absolutely epic charges. Oh, but by the looks of it, I actually managed to rout him over on this side, which is really cool. The 33rd MA did amazing.
Our men are running.
And same up here. So now this kind of gives me the opportunity to reform my line. I'm even throwing my general over here, just to try and do something. Try and hold them up whilst I reform the majority of my line. These guys are gonna, I think I'm just gonna charge them in, or I'm just gonna volley. But you can see, yeah, my entire line now is just absolutely getting wrecked. The Iron Brigade are fighting. They're doing an amazing job actually melee killing these guys. You know, they're actually going to win this fight, which is just crazy. And they can actually charge in the back. But you can see, like, I've got like 5 or 6 units of infantry left. His kind of picket charge was just so effective. It managed to rout my defenses, you know. He took several casualties doing it. Because he had the numbers in the first place, it allowed him to kind of just pretty much ignore the fight. Oh, you cowards. Why are you running? There's 87 of you, I think. There's 84 of you guys. Stay and fight. Rally. Rally to your king. Again over here. I think I'm deciding to go and try and get these guys around the flank. But yeah, all hope does seem lost. I've only got a few brigades left. But these brigades are the Iron Brigade. You know, these aren't minus orcs. These are elite men. Literally, all I've got left is a unit of cannon and some 3 units of Iron Brigade. And they're just going to go on a tear. Trust me, this battle is not over yet. The Iron Brigade are going to go into battle and just go to town in melee. These guys are just shooting. I'm obviously preparing to counter-charge against Apollo over here as he throws in the 48th Vancouver. Keep volleying, boys. Yeah, we're definitely racking up some more kills. I'm deciding to fall back as well because I'm getting enveloped over here. Look how much he has left. But you know, the Iron Brigade are starting to rout a lot of these smaller units. You know, these units which have actually taken a lot of casualties. This unit of Iron Brigade are actually doing a really good job at routing them. You know, the morale is starting to waver a lot on that flank. I managed to go ahead and actually get back. The 82nd actually came back. And I decided to go on a massive tear over here. This unit of Iron Brigade literally run through about 6 units of Confederate forces before deciding to go ahead and get defeated. There's not many of them as well. You know, they're fighting a unit of like just a lot bigger than them. They managed to rout them, and they're just going to carry on going. They're not going to stop, because if I stop, I'm gonna get wrecked. You know, his numbers, his extra guns are just gonna pick away at my men. But if I can use my superior military and melee capability, you know, they're gonna go ahead and actually start routing some units. You know, these are elite men. I'm falling back this unit of Iron Brigade. I think that's all I have left here, and I have 1 unit of 38 over there. So this is we'll pretty much just follow the last stand of the 24th Iron Brigade. I got my cavalry charging in there just to try and stop him from shooting. But yeah, they're going to get wrecked. A famous last charge by a wonderful general who tried his best to hold this hill. R.I.P. But yeah, also, he has a unit of 401 men who are just chilling. Like, I'm so depleted, and he just has 401 guns just killing in 1 unit. Like, it's ridiculous. So I've managed to rout a whole bunch, and the Iron Brigade are still alive. There's 35 of them left, but they've just defeated like huge numbers. I'm also bringing over this brigade over here. My Iron Brigade over here have charged in against this unit, and are doing a really good job. You know, their morale is just so much better. They're scary, you know. Well, I actually had 2 units left as well. Oh, awesome. So I actually have 4 units left, but obviously he has so many more men. The Iron Brigade are going to keep on charging down, and now there's 24 of them, and they're going to charge a brigade of 401. The last charge of my men. Rack in there. I think the Iron Brigade may be finally routed. My last lines have just charged in here. The Iron Brigade finally routed, but I think they actually managed to rout another unit. You know, obviously they weren't enough for this brigade, the Nicole Brigade. But, you know, they did a very admirable job there. I think I've just got a unit of cannon left, and that's about it. And, yeah, literally just a unit of cannon left. So, yeah, that was the Battle of CULP'S Hill. Like, that was just so epic. Like, the entire battle was just so cool. It really was. I think it helped that we weren't playing the AI as well. So the lag wasn't as bad. There was, like, no lag in that entire battle. And it was just so epic. Like, it was such a grand scale. And it just goes to show, you don't need to have 20,000 men to create an epic battle. You know, this one had about 9,000. Yeah, about 9,000 men. And it was still really, really cool. So unfortunately, I did lose. I was the Union and I was defeated. In actuality, I'm pretty sure that it was just a stalemate. Even though I would say that the Union won, just because they managed to hold their position. You know, it's not really a stalemate if the defenders kind of hold out. Like, I would really say that the defenders were kind of winning the battle. But I think the casualties are very similar. Much like in this, you know, look at the losses. The casualties were so similar that, you know, it just, you know, it was just really, really cool to go ahead and show that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. If you want to see the other 2 days, please let me know in the comment. Also, make sure to drop a like and a comment and share this video on Twitter and on anything you want, because it was just so epic, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it and watched the majority of it. And also, if you watch my version, make sure to go and watch Apollo's version, because he will be kind of from the Confederate point of view. So his kind of view will be completely different. A lot of his charges and stuff you'll see from his point of view, whereas mine's more of a defender. So watching his point of view is still, you know, it's still going to be interesting to watch and kind of get his thinking behind it. My god, that was such an epic battle. The Iron Brigade were just so epic towards the end. Like, they really were. God, I say epic so much. I definitely noticed that in this replay, how much I actually say it. But it's true, like, this battle was so cool. It really was. So the 137th did an amazing job. They ranked up twice. Unfortunately, they lost a lot of men. They lost 175, but they almost killed as many men as in their brigade, which is pretty good for a Napoleon game. They killed 210 men. You know, because a lot of men who actually disappeared from the battle aren't from kills. It's mainly from routing. You know, which is very much the case in this type of warfare. Anyone else? The Iron Brigade 182. Oh my god, they were deployed with 85 men and they killed 182. They are epic. Again, Iron Brigade deployed with 75 and they killed 131. Really, really epic. A nice KDA over there. Well, artillery did okay, 50 kills if a few of them. Oh my god, this brigade, I must have messed up with this brigade. They deployed 137 and they got 15 kills and lost 99 men. What did I do with them? I must have wasted them really badly. Yeah, a few of my brigades got wrecked. This unit, the Washington, WV, Wisconsin, well, I don't even know what that is. They did pretty good. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. It was so epic, and I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to drop a like and a comment if you haven't already, and fish out.